Welcome, fellow gamers, to Tactical Gamer's Guide to Soloing Deadman's Cove for the new Amazon Studios game, New World. This video is designed to show you how to solo this location fighting elite mobs for much larger weapon skill and individual experience gains. If you are looking for a reprieve from the constant quest grind, then this solo spot is a great alternative. Grinding out weapon skills early is a great way to fight above your normal character level or to start leveling alternative weapon combinations. With this video, we're actually going to be using our rapier bow build. He's level 26 and he already has his Simon's Gray Toothpick from Amarine Expedition, which we started this at level 22, and it's a great way to level your character and weapon skills from 21st to 30th level. That being said, somebody's experience may be slightly different as far as whether you start at 21st or 22nd level depending on your gear. But it is definitely a doable spot for at least 22nd to 30th level. As always, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and let's get started. First step, we need to get to Deadman's Cove, right? So Deadman's Cove is located in the southwest corner of Monarch's Bluff, near the coastline. However, since it's going to be your first trip there and you're going to be making trips back and forth to town, we recommend you go to Dread Scythe Shrine. Whether it's going back to town to get supplies or to do Amarine runs in between to kind of break up the monotony, you're definitely going to want this shrine so you don't have to run all the way every single time. So let's go ahead and we're going to fast travel there. At least for this particular time, obviously, you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. We do recommend that you also set up a camp when you first get there, just in case things go wrong and you do die. You're not having to run all the way back. Now, once you arrive, since you're going to be, most of the mobs in this area are 22nd to 28th level, and when you first come here at 21st or 22nd level, trying to run and fight your way all the way through Deadman's Cove to get to this solo spot, or this we perceive to be an easier solo spot, it's just fraught with danger. So we're going to head south, and I'll show you kind of where we're going to go up on the map. But basically, we're going to go high into the mountains and come around behind Deadman's Cove. And so that is a much safer, easier way to be able to drop down into the hunting spot where we're actually going to, do most of our soloing. Now, you're going to probably have you'll see here as far as where we are on the map. This is actually not the best place. We're going to kind of curve a little more to the southeast here and kind of come up on another area of the mountain so that we can go straight west across. So you'll see I'm going to go ahead and cut left here so that I can get up onto this ridge line. Ooh. Now, if you're trying to follow along after you're watching this video, obviously once you get up to the top of this mountain, trying to follow along is going to be kind of rough, but pretty soon here after we get over this ridge line, you're going to see a perfect marker that will help you get your bearings as far as making sure that you get there. And every time you come back from town or an Amarine run or whatever, and you come back to this spot, you're obviously going to have to find your place again from the shrine. And hopefully you remember to put down a camp so that if anything goes wrong and you do die, you're just going back to your camp that's close to where we're at. And I'll show you a little bit later where there's an easier spot to put a camp that's close by so you don't have to continue to make that run. Now from up here you can see the ship that's broken on the rocks, and the butt end of that ship is really where we're headed. We're going to go around the back end of that ship, and that'll put us really close to where we want to drop down and where we're going to start our hunting spot. So once you find that ship on top of the mountains, just kind of skirt left and try to head for the butt end of it. And as you can see, we are now overlooking Deadman's Cove, which from up here is actually a quite nice view, if I do say so. So our goal is we're going to drop down on that roof right there. And this gets us to Deadman's Cove and actually gets us to the location of where we're going to start hunting. From here is where we'll actually start. All right, phase 1 is break-in, right? So we have to break in on these initial mobs. When you start coming here at 21st or 22nd level, be prepared to only hold the first 2 or 3 spots. And a word of caution here, at nighttime the mobs change to some lightning-throwing ghosts, which are nasty. You will need to avoid these. They are killable, but it takes time and tons of potions, so I recommend avoiding them till you're closer to level 30. It spawns in the graveyard, which you'll see later. The tower here has single static mob and 1 shielded pather. If we let the pather go about his business, and once he's out of aggro range, we will take the single static mob. And looking here, it looks like he's at the bottom platform, so he's going to start making his way up. But I'm at 26th level, so I may be able to finish her before he comes up and join us. So I'm going to go ahead and, since I've got her attention, I'm going to go ahead and rush her and go ahead and start my routine here. Now, a word of caution about fighting elites. These are not like your normal mobs. So smashing your skills and doing whatever in whatever order is pretty much not going to help you. You have to use your block method here, where they're just going to chew through you very quickly. So now, obviously, we're doing this specific with the rapier and the bow, but for your skills, it may be slightly different. But again, I caution you, mashing keys is not going to be your friend. You have to be strategic. In this case here, our second mob, the Pather, has made his way back, and we're going to go ahead and fight him. For those of you who don't know, headshots in this game is a thing, especially with ranged weapons, so keep that in mind. You do more damage to the head. There. Now, obviously we cleared the tower pretty quickly. I'm at 26th level and I already have my toothpick, but when you get here, it may take you a little longer to recover. Now, you can see, now when he paths, I would say take the first guy first. They're on a 6-minute timer, all right? And so when he paths, he's going to either path in that area by those mobs, or he's going to path down by the graveyard. So don't attack him if he's too close to those mobs, or you're going to have a real bad time. If he's up here, go ahead and attack him as soon as he gets to the planks. And if he's down in the graveyard, you can go ahead and attack him when he gets close to the bottom of the platform. And then you can hit him on his way up and get that pather out of the way, and that takes care of those 2 mobs, and it takes care of the break-in. At this point, you have 6 minutes before this mob spawns again. Now, when you first get here, you're not going to be able to keep that spawn very quickly because the fights are probably going to take longer. But as you progress in your skill and get much quicker, you're going to start adding until the point of you're up to about 8 mobs before you rinse and repeat. But this gives you an idea of how to break in on Deadman's Cove, fighting elites solo. All right, for phase 2, it's clearing the graveyard or splitting the graveyard. When you first start coming here, taking 2 mobs at once is tough. You're going to have to want to kill one and run to safety, letting the second mob path back to the graveyard. Heal up and go back to finish it off the second. Note that killing these before nightfall is a must, so if the 6-minute timer doesn't have you on your toes, then the impending night will. Now you'll notice that she likes to throw grenades, and him you should be able to hit. But she'll stay down there long enough for you to finish him off. If you can't, after you finish this guy off, if you're really low on health and she's at the top of the stairs, run back over to the rocks there, and you can lose aggro from her. Here I'm 26, so being able to take 2 of these elites back to back is not as much of a problem. Right? But if you need to, run back to the rocks, she'll run back down to the graveyard and reset, and you can come back up, shoot an arrow from up above and get her going and get her coming up north, or whatever you use as ranged. Like I said, she likes to throw bombs, but if you stay in close proximity, she'll just try bashing you. And of course, if you get knocked off, you can run back up pretty easily, fairly easily, unless you're clumsy like me. Anyway, but that takes care of the graveyard, and that sets us up for phase 3, which will allow us to go down to that next tier and start pulling mobs. So let's get to it. All right, phase 3, clearing the lower courtyard. So you've got plenty of time before your 6-minute timer. You've cleared the graveyard, and we're now going to move down to this lower courtyard. Even if the ghost is in the graveyard there, like I said, test to make sure you can get past her to this point. Sometimes you might have to be on the railing and jump to the roof. But either way, you're going to come down here, watching the aggro of that mob at the entrance. There is one in that little shack as well. Come in here and we'll start our run. Always a single mob here, so you should be able to take them on by themselves. So you shouldn't, as long as other people are not playing here and, you know, moving mobs about, you should be fine and safe just to sit here and hunt. This, you're at the back end of Deadman's Cove, so there shouldn't be too many people in here unless they're full groups. Now, this guy that's standing there, there's a guy also in the shack. There's really no way to avoid not pulling both of them, so be prepared. Sometimes the shield guy will stay outside longer trying to take pop shots, which makes it nice. You can concentrate on the single mob. But in this particular recording, you're going to see he enters the cabin, and I'm fighting 2 mobs or 2 elites at once. So, which is fine. I'm able to do so, but when you get here in your lower level, be cautious. If you need to run, run. Just run behind this cabin, run around the rocks, and go back to your starting point. There's no sense in dying. And at this point here, trying to keep 2 elite mobs from your back is a little bit tough. So I'm already at half health, but so is he. So we should be good. And it's mainly due to the fact that I am blocking, or at least attempting to block, his attacks. If I wasn't attempting to block attacks and he had free reign, they would have chewed through me pretty quickly, especially if I panicked. So once we have that mob and the mob in the small shack out of the way, there's going to be one more pather out there that we need to take care of. Now, there are mobs, so we have to be careful. There's mobs down in that courtyard, and there's mobs up there by that opening. Again, you're going to have to do some testing based on your level. So watch your positioning and watch where you're pulling your aggro. So we should be okay to pull him from here without pulling any other mobs. Lead my target a little bit and make sure I get my other dot on it. Open yard like this gives you a lot of room to manipulate and move around the shield. I find that taking the time for heavy attacks with a rapier, with these elites, they just attack too quickly, and they're just going to throw you off before you get that heavy attack. So using the defense and then just picking your openings to take an attack is much easier. Again, there's nothing else in this shack that you need to loot, so you don't have to worry about it. Now we've got one more. By the way, if anybody cares, there's 2 deposits of silver right here, which is kind of nice. Those mobs up there you want to avoid. Mobs down there you want to avoid. So just watch your aggro here. There's a single guy inside that shack. At nighttime, there's a ghost with him. So if it's nighttime, even if you got past the ghost at the graveyard, do not try to pull this mob, because there is a ghost in here who will pull, and you will have a bad day. There's also a chest in this room, so a little more loot there to get. These are elites, so if I haven't mentioned it already, the reason you come here for weapon skill ups is each one of these mobs, even at 26, if you watch, they're giving me 50-something skill points for every kill. Depending on how heavy I use the bow versus the rapier. So when you're, taking on most mobs are giving you 12, 15 skill points per kill. Whereas when you're with the elites, the fights take longer. You get to use your weapons more strategically. And so because of that, you're getting more skill ups per kill. And that's why this makes this a great place to get those weapon skill ups or to train new weapon skill ups. Now, if I wasn't taking this silver ore like the greedy individual that I am, I would have been able to get to the top before my timer, but my timer has run out. And so even though these mobs haven't, even the Pather hasn't come up yet, but I know the timer has run out for the mob at the top. So once I get to the top, she is going to be respawned. And there's no reason, since I'm at full health, there's no reason not to go ahead and kill her for extra skill points. And of course, this is where we rinse and repeat. Now, as I get closer to level 30, obviously I may be able to go down to the courtyard below, but I'm going to go ahead, I don't want this video to get too long, so we're going to go ahead and end this solo guide here.